Welcome to Allentown, sir. Welcome to Work Hard Pittsburgh. Thank you so much for taking the time in your schedule and visiting us. Should we get started?
Yeah.
Would you join me in welcoming Governor Wolf and Representative Wheatley? What we do here is it's a collection of about 50 different freelancers. It's everything from photographers through enterprise-level software developers. And we as a brand try to coordinate that work. We go out and act as a digital service agency. We'll write RFPs and proposals and grants, and then we sub that work back into the community. Last year we pushed about $150,000 into this little freelance community, and that helps generate sustainability for these little teams that are exploring a variety of different ideas.
And what do they do after they go through this incubation?
So they just stay here.
Okay.
And that's the differentiator in a lot of ways between what we do and what other things that may go on around the country. MetaMesh builds privately owned wireless infrastructure. It's peer-to-peer wireless networking. So all of East Warrington Avenue has free wireless internet because the businesses here have decided to cooperate and deploy their technology.
So they're all on your network. Is it like a virtual private network?
No, it's a physical network all on its own. The difference between our network and many other Wi-Fi networks is that Google just donated $150,000 to build a network in Larimer here in our city. But they're just throwing routers into a neighborhood. What we do is actually get people to learn how to maintain these networks themselves.
One of the things that I mentioned before, taking our public housing spaces and working out a relationship with MetaMesh and having that be part of their model so to expand people's access.
And this mesh network can grow to cover the whole East Coast. And once it covers the whole East Coast, it's then an emergency wireless network privately owned by American citizens that's solar power, battery backup, and independent of the existing infrastructure. And we're very mindful of how this community is changing and how a space like this can be, not necessarily perceived as a good thing. It can be a displacer of people, and we don't want to be that. So we give all of this stuff out freely to the community. We have folks that come all the way from Wilkinsburg to use these media production facilities, and we try to meet people where they are. We give this to startups, nonprofit use. We have fast workstations that are loaded with cutting-edge media development software. Probably about 20 podcasts happen out of this other room. So Buzzy runs Epicast, and he aggregates everything from fitness podcasts to history podcasts to the majority of the comedians in town as a way to kind of consolidate all these little brands under one big brand so that they can sell ads and become more sustainable.
So what do you do? What do you monitor?
I have a movie review podcast with some of the guys from the local radio station, and actually the guy that does Pittsburgh Dad, and Sean Collier, who from local guys, and they review movies, so I'm just cutting that up and getting that ready to release tomorrow. So.
Really?
Matter of fact, one of your models is you partner with some underserved neighborhoods who can't afford to rebrand themselves, and then they work with them to rebrand. So if you have a transitional neighborhood like the Hill District, and you want to convince people that it's safe and it's secure, but you don't have the marketing budget, you can come to Josh and the folk here, and they will help put that together for you. Website, branding, do the types of things that helps you rebrand your business.
I'm so glad you brought that up. So the Hillman Foundation has graciously given us a small grant to deploy that kind of content marketing strategy in these neighborhoods that need to control their narrative. Okay. So for a matching of 20, so the neighborhood pays us $2,500, and for the year we create 2 bits of content that helps tell that story of that neighborhood. So we're doing it in Millville, we're doing it in the North Side, and obviously we're doing it here in Allentown. What's interesting about our community is we have really sophisticated software developers. We have great content marketing people, but then we have community groups like Pittsburgh Normal. So this is Isaac. Isaac, can you take a minute?
Very happy with the vote yesterday, I'm sure.
Who's very happy with it.
Pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you for your support on everything. We definitely appreciate the help and message you sent out earlier. That was great. And your support was definitely instrumental.
You're my wife.
Oh, how are you, sir?
You're a representative.
Pleasure. How are you, sir?
It's about opening the door to entrepreneurship to more and different kinds of people. Everything we do here, including curating George Costanza pictures, including curating this really wildly diverse community, is aimed at building something that we think is missing in the narrative around entrepreneurship. We think there's too much focus on the unicorn, right? On this venture capital West Coast model. But the reality is entrepreneurship in our neighborhoods, that's a $10 million company. That's not a $150 million company. So we work to provide that capacity to help people like Buzzy, who at scale, he might have 3 employees, he might have 4 employees, he might make $10, $15 million a year if he's wildly successful. And he's a really valuable community member that can occupy a storefront, that can be part of a neighborhood. So we try to convince people that the entrepreneurship needs to go back to what it was 10 years ago before the wild success stories in the West Coast sort of leaked into the zeitgeist, right? So to that end, we're partnering with some foundations here in town to create our first impact investment vehicle, and we'll use that seed fund to essentially help these guys have cash flow to get to those next steps. So you could say that we're sort of the progressive version of entrepreneurship. Okay. We really wear our progressiveness on our sleeve, and we're proud that we're offering an alternative vision for how these things might be economically viable, but also impactful.